This quantum physics has really got me hooked right now. Learning everything about vibration, learning about frequencies, how to use that to help fertility, to help pregnancy, to help healing, to help everything. It's very, very interesting. All these things that have been hidden from us for such a long period of time is now coming out into the open. And I think AI has a lot to do with it, actually, because it's funneling information much faster at a much better and people are utilizing it. And actually, I don't know if you've heard of it, Mike Adams, he is joining together with Sayer G, as well as Dr. Mercola, to create their own holistic AI platform so that all of their information is going to create the output, which is fantastic. And I noticed that when I'm using AI, you can actually train it to kind of give you what you want.
Welcome to the Heart of Show Business. I am your host, Alexia Melocchi. I believe in great storytelling and that every successful artist has a deep desire to express something from the heart to create a ripple effect in our society. Hello to all my listeners. I am so happy and thrilled to have a special podcast episode of the Heart of Show Business. As you know, I've done a little bit of a pivot in my style. Not only do I bring people from show business, quote unquote, but I do like to interview female founders. And in this case, we have a female founder as my guest right here, who is the owner of her own business, which I'll tell you all about in a second. But I also love to talk about health and mindset and how those two things are so vital and so important for longevity, for thriving in life, et cetera, et cetera. I met my guest here, Birgitta Lauren from Expecting Fitness. She comes from Sweden, by the way, and I met her at some hair salon years and years ago, and we stayed in touch. And I have to say, because, you know, I always vet my people, she has been of great help in my own health journey. There's been moments where I've been confused and lost about what to believe in, what not to believe in. And I am, as you know, I'm not an advocate for just stuffing myself with chemicals. I want to do things naturally. And she is an expert in that. So even though her brand is called Expecting Fitness, and we're going to talk about it, it's mostly for women who want to conceive or are already pregnant and following in their journey. It is also for women in general to sort of debunk those myths about what to do, what do we need to do in order to stay the most healthy. So, Birgitta, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Alexia. I'm so pleased to be here and nice to see you again.
It's so great to see you. And, you know, by the way, I have introduced her to a friend of mine who was having some challenges becoming pregnant, and she helped her get pregnant. So, I mean, and by the way, little insight, and she will tell us herself, but this lady here got pregnant and gave birth to beautiful twins at the age of 53 and naturally. I mean, how amazing is that? So Birgitta, tell me a little bit your origin story. Like, you know, you came from Sweden and then.
Yes, I came from Sweden and I've always been very, very athletic. Started off as a swimmer and then a bodybuilder. And then my family moved down to Australia, where I continued competing in bodybuilding and won city-state national titles in bodybuilding. And then I came here to America many, 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 many eons ago and started working as a trainer. Immediately fell into a lady who wanted to have a baby, but not necessarily the pregnancy because she'd had 2 other horrible pregnancies. But she hired me, figuring that getting fit must help. This is back in 1992, when doctors were telling pregnant women don't exercise. And we got her extremely fit. At the time when she wanted to have a baby, she got pregnant right away. And I worked with her through that pregnancy and for about 12 months afterwards. And the difference in this pregnancy was astounding. As far as her health, no issues, no gestational problems, no nothing, no morning sickness. And she went from a 36-hour labor to 3-hour labor and was ready to have a 4th baby after that. And then I watched the difference in her baby, her third baby, comparison with her other two children, and the cognitive ability, the calmness of this baby, and how much healthier this third baby was physically and mentally, a light bulb went on. And I thought, this is it. This is going to be my mission. This is what I'm going to be passionate about. I'm going to help women have healthier babies through exercise and nutrition, just like I helped that woman, even though we knew nothing and there really was no information back then. And I started collaborating with some top obstetric professors and developed and wrote my book, Expecting Fitness. And then I developed some vitamins with one of the top vitamin formulators in this country, invented some exercises for pregnant ladies, and it just sort of rolled on from there. And then by the time it was finally time for me to get pregnant, I was 53. And I get pregnant with twins, and my doctor, who I had up until then for 25 years worked with several of the top obstetric professionals in Beverly Hills, and they were sending me out to their patients to help them get healthier holistically, things that they couldn't do anything with. And so I was working them out and helping them with the nutrition. And then I get pregnant, and the doctor says, you're going to have gestational diabetes, you're going to have preeclampsia, you're going to have an early delivery at 29 weeks, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ooh, who are you talking to? I'm the pregnancy guru. I know how to be pregnant. Who have you been sending your patients to for the last 25 years? I said, this is not going to happen. I got 53 years worth of holistic living and exercise and fitness and nutrition and blah, blah. It compounds to a very, very healthy body. You cannot put me in the same box as all these other women. So, and I said, not only will I not have a gestational issue, I will not deliver early, and I will not even deliver on time. I will be late 2 weeks. Yes, I was late. I delivered at 42 weeks, 2 8-pound babies.
Wow. And they're gorgeous and super smart too. And just like the picture of having just come out of the body of a very healthy woman. And what's interesting about this is that it's no secret that the world has gone into a stage where there is this whole brainwashing about how difficult it is for a woman to be pregnant. Already when you're in your 30s, they start telling you, oh, you got to put your eggs away. You got to you got to be careful because you're getting older, and, you got to do this. Why is that? Do you think is it true that it's difficult for women to get pregnant, or is it just a scare tactic to get us to do medicines or not have children at all?
All of the above. Okay. They definitely use scare tactics for medical reasons and profitable reasons. They make it more difficult than it should be. Pregnancy is a natural thing that we have been doing for thousands of years. It should not be an arduous issue. Of course, when you're carrying twins, it's a little bit harder. The last 2 months were pretty painful, carrying 16 pounds of babies around. But if you are healthy, and that would be not just during pregnancy, you need to stay healthy way before you get pregnant. That's why I teach my clients to start with their children from day one to be healthy and adopt healthy lifestyles as far as eating and daily exercise. It is so, so, so important. I can't really emphasize which is more important, exercise or nutrition, maybe nutrition, but also the lack of chemicals. You have to avoid medications. You have to avoid personal care products with chemicals in it. And the last thing would be your attitude. You need to have a positive, relaxed, stressless pregnancy for it to be healthy. And now we're even getting into the quantum entanglement, quantum physics, how everything is conscious and everything is controlled with thought. It's an amazing subject that I'm dwelling into, and will be part of my new book coming out Mother's Day.
I absolutely love what you said, because it is true. It is also a lot of the mind. I'm discovering now the new thing, because you know me, I'm always on a quest. Although I come to you for anything that has to do with supplements, because that I cannot figure it out. I'm Googling by myself to oblivion, and then I'm just getting more confused than ever, which is why I go to Brigitta and I go, Brigitta, should I take this? Should I do this? What do you think about this? And she's like, this is the best advice. So yeah, I can definitely be a testimonial for the effectiveness of what she does. But one of the new things that I'm learning about is sound healing, and so I downloaded this app. And by the way, I'm not getting paid to even promote it. It's just like I discovered where basically it's just been discovered by NASA scientists. And all you have to do is just sit down for like, you could choose 2 minutes or 12 minutes, and then listen to the sound with some in a certain frequency and with some music in it. But it's very, and literally your brain waves, it just gives you calmness and clarity and focus. And I've done it for 3 days and I already feel less stressed. So something is working. I'm sure.
Frequencies are, like I said, our bodies are big quantum entanglement of quantum physics, and it is the vibrations that happen in your body that depend on your health. Your nutrition will alter your frequency. The exercise you do or not do will alter your frequency. And what you think will alter your frequency. And also meditation, de-stressing. There's so many factors to health that needs to be explored and continued, especially during a pregnancy, because whatever you do during pregnancy is going to affect the health and mentality, physically and mentally, of that baby.
Exactly.
It is so important.
Exactly.
But when I say nutrition, I don't just mean food. Food needs to be organic. Food needs to be wild fish. It needs to be grass-fed meat. It needs to be pastured eggs and chickens or turkeys, and the rest of the produce needs to be organic. And there's just no ifs, buts, or ands about that, because all other food is full of pesticides, which is heavy metals and all kinds of petrochemicals, which are so bad for our hormone levels and for our gut. It destroys our gut. Our gut talks to our brain, and our brain tells the rest of the body what to do. If that process doesn't happen, you're not going to have good health, and then you're not going to have a good pregnancy if you're pregnant. And the longer that period is that you are not doing healthy things and then get pregnant, of course, older women has more problems with pregnancies. And also when it comes to IVFs, because they're now having fertility issues, there's so many extra drugs beyond the fertility medications that are given out to IVF patients that are so harmful to our health. And it even says in the little white box description, don't blend this with such and such a medication. And those are the medications that they give together for IVF on top of the fertility medications.
Wow. And you know what?
That's why we have now so many health issues in the children from IVF children.
Yeah.
Mine that never go to the doctor.
What I like about what you do, Birgitta, and it's interesting, I just had like this like aha moment. It's like when people are saying, I'm going to hire, say, a pregnancy person when I'm about to give birth, and you go to those classes and you do the exercises so you can prepare yourself for the birth. You're basically like a pregnancy coach for like the whole process of pregnancy, where you're basically getting your patient ready from the moment. And you're not just saying, hey, here is a great exercise for your back, which I know you've invented this new, or this exercise routine that's for your back, but you like literally the person that you can be, a little bit of therapist, workout trainer, nutritionist, you're like all bundled into one, and you become like a support system for the woman that decides to be pregnant or is in that process of becoming pregnant or is already pregnant all the way to the end, which I love about that, because you're there for them.
So now I guide my clients, since COVID sort of killed my personal in-home business, I now guide my clients virtually with a phone, email, or Zoom, whatever works, and guide them on what to do throughout the entire pregnancy. exercise-wise, food-wise, supplement-wise. Supplements are so important. Nobody should negate the importance of supplements. There's so much you can do to protect your health during pregnancy with certain supplements. Very, very important. And all the way through postpartum. And of course, also I help clients fertility-wise. My favorite client is that the one that I can get before they get pregnant, because then I can really control and mold the optimal health of that client and their future babies. So fertility-wise, I help, especially, I work mostly with older moms, and we have to regain the reproductive system and its processes of monthly periods that sometimes don't work properly, hormones, thyroids, PCOS, all sorts of things that are chemically induced. So we have to detox and make everything regenerate again. And that is the beautiful divine design of our bodies, is that we can, and it is meant to regenerate. Given the right sources and given the right environment, our lifestyle factors, our body can regenerate to optimal health.
That is fantastic. But let me ask you something though. If obviously, when that happens, when you start working with a client, do you ever get any resistance from their doctors, their OBGYN going, who is this woman? What is she advising you? She's not a doctor. She doesn't have a medical degree, like blah, blah, blah. They could come up with all kinds of stuff. Like, I mean, have you ever had those problems, or you're just being very careful with who you
most of the time, actually, my clients used to come from the doctor, so they know me already, and I sort of have a reputation as the person to go to for health. I've had doctors scare my clients, and then I will advise them. Maybe you should get a second opinion. If they don't want to get a second opinion, that's not something that I can force. But today, since I don't work in the home of my clients anymore, I do it virtually. I prefer to get open-minded clients that are open to a totally holistic lifestyle, because the more holistic, the less medications, the less chemicals, the better job I can do at helping them with their fertility and their pregnancy journey to motherhood.
I love that. And the science has the good stuff and the bad stuff, but I like to believe that science, like you said, between the quantum and stem cells and IV nutrition and all of that. I mean, there is I know that there's a friend of mine, actually my ex-assistant, works for this center, which I'm not going to name names because, again, I don't want to promote anybody, because I'm here to promote you. But like what they do is they offer, cryo chambers, bread. Do you believe in all those things? Like
absolutely, absolutely. I did
baths, like the whole thing.
I did the hyperbaric chamber while I was pregnant, actually up until the very last day before I delivered, which was really hard to get into.
Yeah. Like,
now, there's so many modalities. There's so many holistic modalities that you can utilize from oxygen to red light. Red light therapy is really good too. There's a lot of different modalities that you can try out, and I'm trying to include everything in my book to give people choices and options of what they prefer, so they can try different things out for whatever is going to work best for them. Everybody doesn't have to do everything, but they can try one here or something else to see what works best.
Do you recommend, because again, when you had twins, I'm sure did they try to tell you have to do some tests to make sure that we're going to come out all right? Because they're doing now this new blood work test where you can actually look at the DNA and you can see there's like early stages of cancer or anything through the DNA patterns.
I refused all the testing.
Okay.
I didn't even want to do the ultrasounds, but being that I had 2 babies inside, the one thing that I was concerned about was that they were of equal size, because if one baby gets larger than the other, then that can jeopardize the whole pregnancy or at least the health of the smaller one. And from the very, very get-go, when I first got pregnant and I found out, I was praying, and I was ordering, demanding those two babies to share my nutrition equally 50-50, or else nobody was allowed to take more than the other. And at, I think it was 20 weeks, I had my first ultrasound, and both of the babies were equal within 5% of each other, height-wise, weight-wise, volume-wise, everything-wise. So that calmed my nerves, that they were both totally equal. And I went from there and didn't go to most of my ultrasounds after that either. I think there was a couple more at the very, very end because the doctor wanted to know which way the babies were sitting.
Wow, that's such an incredible story.
And I didn't do the glucose test because I knew I didn't have diabetes. I didn't do any other testing.
Wow. Wow. So how does somebody who wants to work with you, like, what's the process like? I mean, are you doing like what they call discovery call, where you do like an initial consultation and
we can discuss whether it's something that's doable.
Okay.
And then after that, I do an evaluation.
Okay.
And after the evaluation, I make a decision of what is going to be best individually for that person. And also I work with not just a woman, but the prospective father. If we're having fertility issues, actually because of all the pesticides, and I have to say, because I have to, the vaccines over the last some decades.
You can say it in my podcast.
Fertility is way down, and especially in men. Right now, fertility, I think, is really the biggest problem with men. Their sperm regenerates every 3 weeks. Our eggs are kind of set from birth, although we now have things that we can help regenerate old eggs too. But sperm is easier to fix, and it's very fixable in a very short period of time, both motility, genetic issues, and sperm count. Wow. That can be helped within a few months.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, we all know nature is the most affordable and a real proven pharmacy. I mean, there is a reason. Are you scared of? Because again, this is an issue that's been happening a lot in the medical profession. Are you scared of AI and AI taking over, sort of like, procedures and medical results? And, because obviously some people are going to go and do blood work, even if you don't recommend it, when they come and show you stuff. I mean, do you believe everything you see?
No, I've noticed since I've been practicing a lot with or getting acquainted with ChatGPT. The platform is definitely guided by the pharma elite, because there's certain things that they won't say that you can't get ChatGPT to say or do graphically either. But I think that AI is going to be if used by the right person for the right reason, it will be very good. I think it's going to be very, very helpful to help things happen a lot faster. You can get help faster, you can get information faster, and in a better way, but it has to be used for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that whomever is still controlling it, financing wise, funding wise, needs to get their little paws off of it so that we can talk about vaccines and other things.
And other things. Well, we're living in exciting times, I think. There's definitely truth that is coming out on so many things, as we all know. And all we have to do is just wait for, the shoe to drop, as they call it. But, what's needed, I feel that we are in the age of Aquarius, and, we're going to be entering a moment where the old and wise ones, which are not old, but we're definitely wise, are going to be more in need, or more in demand, as they say, by the younger ones too. So, because you tried and tested stuff. I mean, you can speak about this because you had a baby or two babies at 53. So, you're kind of like the testament and of what you believe in and what you've been applying to your own life. And so you can actually speak about it from knowledge versus just like some theory, which is a fantastic thing.
Absolutely.
What is your so we touched upon you doing a lot of soul searching, obviously praying and faith, which is very, very important. Is there anything else that that you're fascinated by these days? I guess the quantum physics.
Yes, this quantum physics has really got me hooked right now. And learning everything about vibration, learning about frequencies, how to use that to help fertility, to help pregnancy, to help healing, to help everything. It's very, very interesting. All these things that have been hidden from us for such a long period of time is now coming out into the open. And I think AI has a lot to do with it, actually, because it's funneling information much faster at a much better and people are utilizing it. And actually, I don't know if you've heard of it. Mike Adams, he has a website called Natural Health? I forget now. He is joining together with Sayer G as well as Dr. Mercola to create their own holistic AI platform so that all of their information is going to create the output, which is fantastic. And I noticed that when I'm using AI, you can actually train it to kind of give you what you want. So it really knows me at this point, and it gives me what I want for the most part, unless I hit a sore point somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. I saw that you have in your book of references on your side, the Silva Method, which I've read myself. So I think Joe Dispenza, there's so many great things to go to and learn from as far as, energy, quantum, frequencies, everything, sound therapy, light therapy, the works. I think we live in very fascinating time. And so, I'm excited about your book coming out. We will definitely be posting and promoting it when you tell me the launch date. In closure with our conversation, because I guess we can do another episode once your book comes out, so we can discuss it even more in depth, and I will have read it. What would be? Do you have like a life mantra? Do you have something that you have told yourself? Everybody's had dark moments. Certainly, we had dark moments during the pandemic. What have you told yourself, or what have you used for you to be in a good state of mind for yourself and your family?
Prevention.
Ooh.
It's always cheaper than the cure.
I love it.
And easier, very easier. And I think that's going to be a lot easier now with the new administration. Now we have the Make America Healthy Again movement, and it is very interesting. We're living through some fascinating times to finally have some curbs on pharma.
Oh, yeah, I am. Yeah, exactly. Because again, we do not even know what affects our body, it's not just about what we eat, it's about what comes out of the air, what we're breathing, what we have, all of that, what kind of water we have washing our body. So it goes above and beyond, obviously, the nutrition. So it's been great having you on my show, Birgitta. And for anybody who wants to know about expecting fitness, doesn't matter whether you're pregnant. I've actually have friends of mine who were not pregnant who went to get, Birgitta's prenatal vitamins, which even though they're not planning to have kids, they still took them because there was definitely some results. So if you want to check her out, have a consult with her, read anything that she puts on her blog, you might find it useful for you and your friends. Subscribe, rate, and review. You know how I love to bring fascinating people, and this lady is one of them. So, I
love you, Alexa. You're wonderful.
I loved having you, and this is the Heart of Show Business. Stay tuned for more podcasts on health, and hopefully with Birgitta coming back as my guest a little bit down the road to talk about more fun things that will make us healthy and live longer, and especially be in a good state of mind, so that aligned spirit, aligned body, that's the way to live. And ciao, everyone.